After a brutal year in which live music has been relegated to nothing more than a vague recollection of a bygone era, we joined the band Trego as they inexplicably ventured downtown in search of a gig. It's difficult to say how the group could muster up such positive energy and optimism in the face of certain and inevitable failure. This also sums up 99% of musicians, generally speaking. It was no surprise to anyone when the band's collective high came crashing back down to earth as the bus coughed and sputtered to a stop. Matt tried in vain to explain that the missing gas cap wasn't his fault. It was. Now stranded, the band was realizing their prospects were truly dim. They were. The gang pooled their resources, emptying their pockets only to realize just how truly, impressively pathetic their collective existence was, is, and likely always will be. It was in this dark moment that Kent, recalling his days as a true road-traveling dirtbag, had an idea. Almost as quickly as hope was lost, it returned in the form of a trash can filled with stolen diesel. Filled with sudden inspiration, JP realized they had broken down just a short block away from the Big Dipper, one of Spokane's most historic music venues. Perhaps he could be the hero that finds the band a gig. Alas, it was not to be. JP found the doors locked. Around the corner, a giant banner had been draped. Live music venues everywhere, just like the Big Dipper, are at risk of disappearing. True to form, the band nearly left JP behind. It appears even in a global pandemic with no gigs or obligations, bands can still be relied upon to be a hot mess of collective dysfunction. Filled with renewed optimism, the gang sent Matt into Pacific Pizza. Surely they would find a gig here. There are few rivalries in the history of mankind that rival that of Matt Mitchell and Tyler Aker. The air was thick with tension as the two stood locked in a combative exchange. Matt saw what he needed: the last working microphone in town. But Tyler wasn't about to let this yellow-bellied outlaw and his crappy band play a gig. He communicated this in no uncertain terms, wildly gesturing for Matt to get the hell out. Dashing the band's high expectations, Matt quickly ushered them away to pursue other options, claiming that while there was no gig to be found, he had single-handedly destroyed Tyler Aker in a duel of wits. The band then stumbled across a familiar-looking vehicle. It was the Unifest van. If anyone would know how to find them a gig in 2020, it would be highly renowned professional festival throwers and party bringers, Matt and staff of Unifest. Live music's canceled, bro. The band was getting used to failure. Another great Spokane venue, Nido Burrito, also temporarily closed. KB was determined to change the course of events. Surely Nine would make an exception and allow Trego to play a gig. Sadly, Kitty was quick to remind her that there was no way she could allow that to happen. KB was quick to down her consolation prize. The gang headed to Lucky You Lounge where Kent tends bar. Surely they could find a gig at Kent's place of employment. Like so many times before, Kent completely forgot he was scheduled to work. Owner and professional male model, Caleb Ingersoll, was not impressed. Kent's attempt to score the band a gig ended with him working non-stop for the next 35 years of his life. Seth, finding Mootsy's dark and shuttered, encounters a very curious stranger.
Spinning like a quarter on a countertop. Would you believe me if I told you I can't stop? No, 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 no.
The band abandons their quest to find a gig. The overwhelmingly predictable course of events comes as a real blow to the gang's fragile self-esteem. Sad. Without live music, venues are struggling to survive. Full-time musicians are out of work and bands have no way to fund their collective endeavors. Trego is launching a Kickstarter to cover the costs of producing a new album.